He's an attorney with a checkered past, and now the defense attorney in the Davontae Sanford case is speaking out for the first time since his one-time client was released from prison. Davontae Sanford's emotional release from prison last week brought with it headlines and a lot of criticism in this case.
Now, we did hear from Davontae and his family, the Innocence Project attorneys who helped get his release. Now, there was one major player we have not heard from, defense attorney Robert Slamica. That is, until now. Local 4's Rod Maloney sat down with the attorney today for an exclusive interview and a vastly different perspective. He joins us now live tonight from Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, and he had a lot to say.
Yes, he did have a lot to say, Karen, and here's the thing. It was the Innocence Project lawyers who said and lay at his feet, Robert Slamica's feet, the fact that Davontae Sanford spent 8 years in prison for 4 murders that he didn't commit. But Slamica today told me that's a flat-out falsehood.
I did not sell this kid out.
70-year-old former defense attorney Robert Slamica spent more than 40 years working the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. He clearly remembers Davontae Sanford, and not in the sympathetic tones we've heard so much about, that naive 14-year-old railroaded for a quadruple murder.
I got a streetwise, arrogant kid, okay? Now that may be because he's immature, maybe he's a wannabe.
Which is why he said he had trouble defending Davontae after Davontae's mother hired him onto the case.
I've never had a client in that be 40 years of practice who wouldn't cooperate with me. I mean, I got nowhere with this kid.
Slamica claims he wanted to challenge Davontae's confession to police.
And I said, I have to file a motion and you're going to have to testify. So I can do it, because in a situation where you're claiming a statement's involuntary, the cop's not going to say he beat the hell out of you or coerced you. You've got to say what transpired that caused you to say what they claim you said. No.
The case went to trial, and on day 2, Davontae's mother asked to speak with him. And after that conversation, Davontae pled guilty, something Slamica says he did not want.
I didn't tell him to plead guilty. I didn't beg him to plead guilty. The only change that I could see is after the conversation he had with his mother.
Slamica is an oft-sanctioned lawyer who lost his license twice, most recently after pleading no contest to entering his ex-girlfriend's apartment without permission last year. And while he doesn't like being blamed for the conviction, he says he never believed Davontae committed those murders.
I thought it was great. If he didn't do it, and or the evidence would exculpate him, great.
Now, Slamica says that he feels the Detroit police did not do a good job investigating. And in fact, that's what he wanted to do, was to go after the confession, saying that the confession and the statement that was given by Davontae didn't match the physical evidence. He also says he understands blaming bad counsel to get him out of prison. He says, hey, that's okay. But he doesn't like the fact that he feels that his reputation, good, bad, or indifferent, has been essentially slammed in all of this as Davontae has been released from prison. Back to you.
Well, Rod, what are Sanford's attorneys saying about this interview?
Yeah. Well, I told them about the fact that we had done this interview, some of the things that he said, and they said there is nothing that Slamica could say that in their minds would change their belief that he didn't do anything to help Davontae, and that they still believe that he's a bad attorney that shouldn't be practicing.
Very interesting. Rod Maloney, thank you very much for reporting live.